Got the incense on. I'm feeling like it's real soulful right now. I'm feeling like it's Black History time on the two horseman podcast. But before we get into it, I couldn't go a moment further without thanking y'all for tuning in this Thursday afternoon for a very live edition. And I got to introduce the crew who will be officiating this episode today. My wise man. He is the pharaoh of Christian Mingle. He is the greatest to ever do it, the greatest who ever will do it, and the greatest who ever done that damn thing. He is the one, the only, the notorious Big Gerald. What's up, my wise man? How you doing today?
Look like you got accepted to Hogwarts when this thing came on.
That's some smoke 'em, joke 'em. I do got
How
a Harry
everybody
Potter
doing out
song.
there?
How y'all doing over there on TikTok, over there on Twitch, over there on X? Normally over there on Facebook, but something went happen, but we'll repost it later. But how y'all doing? And how was your week of worldwide wrestling, my brothers? It was a lot of stuff to take in.
Man, it was beautiful. It was a beautiful time in wrestling. I know we're gonna get into some of it, but man, it was some knocks out of the park, and then it was some head scratching moments on a few of these shows. But we're gonna get into a few of those here in a minute.
Yeah,
I
man.
don't know about this fat shaming or Sheamus. I don't know how much longer this gonna keep going, but
Burger
yes.
after burger. I mean, as long as he go out there in them draws, he gotta, he could have got him a Kevin Owens t-shirt and some jeans and just came out and be, the new Irish fighter. He wanted to come back in the box of briefs, and he ain't ready, especially when on the mic with someone like Drew who stays in shape, all the time. I know I'm a big boy. I wear my t-shirt to the pool, and I'm gonna continue to do so to the end of the day. If you see me out there in draws, feel free to joke because I've opened the door. What they say, you got one job in pro wrestling: look good and be on time. So, but you're right, man. It's been an eventful week. I thought WrestleMania 40 was like the highlight, but it feels to me like the tides are changing. AEW is doing some new things. WWE's doing some new things. Competition is getting tighter. It's good for all wrestling fans. So I'm excited, man. Someone said I'm super smoky.
I want to say to me, this week was kind of a highlight. There was a couple of big shows that happened, and these are just those resurgent shows coming up, and then WWE's getting ready for Backlash. I mean, it's they're trying to keep the product moving fast, but we'll talk more about it.
Absolutely. So without any further ado, we started off talking about Black history, and AEW has made some Black history. It used to be a time where we had a lot of over, Black superstars, your Junkyard Dogs, your Coco B. Wares, and they couldn't sniff a world title. That was never going to happen. And even to this day, I think we can name the Black world champions on two hands, out of all the promotions and all the pro wrestling that's been around for got to be close to 100 years now, if not longer. There's only a handful of African American champions. So congrats to you. Talk about being I know Cody has been saying this whole thing about being undesired and and undeniable and now undisputed. One could say, he was the member of Hit Row that didn't get this second chance, of all those guys. You bring back Top Dollar, but you don't bring back Swerve, although I heard he had the opportunity and declined it. But what a road, man. What do you think of it? We predicted it. We said it was time. I'm glad they pulled the trigger. But what do you think this is as far as history for such a young company? There's only been 8 champs in AEW, and now he's in that Elite 8.
Well, I applaud AEW for not sitting on his laurels and letting a wrestler who was so hot not get his opportunity to be champion. It struck when everybody thought it was supposed to. And let's also give a kudos to Tony Khan. I know we are very hard on Tony Khan, especially when it comes to booking matches. But that match between Swerve and Samoa Joe was excellent.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I never had any doubt that they would deliver in the ring. Samoa Joe is one of my all-time favorite pro wrestlers. Like, it's amazing on the mic. He I love the Miz and appreciate what he does, but I want my WWE champ or world champ, whoever the champ of the promotion, to legitimately feel like they can beat someone's ass, or they're just got to be so slimy like a Ric Flair that you're like, okay, they're going to use any means. So I never had any doubt that the in-ring product was going to be amazing, but it was a really good story. They didn't have a lot of time to make the story happen, but everything was believable. Everything was in place from the presentation. You know, Joe still looked strong, and he did what older. He got the reign. It wasn't a long reign, but it was an impressive reign, and he put over a young talent. He did what he was supposed to do. So, I mean, salute to Joe, salute to Swerve, salute to Tony Khan, and salute to AEW. I know we're hard on them, but, this is what we want. This is more what we want.
Right. And they both were so solid on the microphone. So the story didn't have to take that long. When they spoke to each other, you like, man, they gonna try to kill each other. Man, I thought, like I said, the match was awesome. Shout out to Samoa Joe one more time, just so everybody know. Samoa Joe's been doing this almost 3 decades, if I'm not mistaken.
No, you're
And
right. You're
so,
right. I think he's 25 years, 26 years in the business, something like that.
man, he can still go in the ring, and Swerve is just so talented. Like, the match was really well put together. They had some good strong spots. You believe when he got hit with a muscle buster that might have been it, but he kicked out. I mean, congrats to them both, man. But Swerve being the champion, I can't wait now. They got to strike while the iron is hot. Get him and Will Ospreay in a match. It is solid. I would love to see that.
Mm. Well, I know it seems like they're lining up Ospreay for the international title. I'm a firm believer that AEW has far too many championships, like way, way too many championships. So I wouldn't mind if they went on. Do you remember that time when the WWE consolidated a lot of the belts? Like, they consolidated the Intercontinental title was gone for a little bit. Like, they consolidated that with the world title. I think it's time when you got Swerve, potentially Ospreay and Okada as
Mm-hmm.
your kind of main champions, your Continental, your International, and your World Champ. I don't know the difference between a Continental and International when you think about it. I would love to see maybe them a triple threat between those two and consolidate those three belts, and then just really have your AEW, your TNT, whatever they're doing with Jericho. We'll talk about that later in the FTW. We need to get rid of some of these belts. That's all I'm saying.
Listen, and they also got Ring of Honor, and they're just sitting out there holding on the belts. This she was Ember Moon in the WWE. She's Athena now for Ring of Honor. She's held the women's championship for 503 days so far. So I mean, like, I didn't know Ring of Honor had a women's belt, but that's not here nor there. She's
Yeah,
not. Well, we'll get into the weeds of that in a minute.
in Ring of Honor, like, you can find them on Ring of Honor TV and stuff, but I mean, for all intents and purposes, it's a dead promotion. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's not going to get TV time. It's not good. And then the fact that there's no exclusivity. The same people you're seeing on AEW, you're seeing them on Ring of Honor with the Ring of Honor belts. It just doesn't seem special to me. And I'm a big fan of Ring of Honor, but I think Tony was just in the acquire mode with very little thought. I would love to see one of these shows. You have Collision, you have all these shows. Make it a Ring of Honor show with just Ring of Honor talent, and I don't know. You can still have some AEW guys cross over, but it needs to stand out as a separate brand. And for me, it doesn't. So too many belts in AEW, but we're not going to kick AEW in the balls. We've actually had some good things about them this week, so we're going to give them respect where respect is due. But once again, congrats to Swerve, congrats to Joe, dope match, and I'm waiting to see what comes. And Ospreay Swerve match sounds good. I just hope they don't, make Swerve a transitional champ. I need him to have at least 300. Give him a year. You got to at least give him a year to see what he can do. But speaking of Ospreay and Bryan Danielson with the, Metzler saying it's a damn 8-star match, the best match in American history. I don't know about that. I'm more for, storytelling. I'm going to still say Undertaker, HBK, WrestleMania 25, but that's just my taste. I'm an old fart. But number one, what did you think about that match? Did the right person win? And do you think Danielson was really injured? Because there was a scary spot where, like, I don't know what the hell the move was supposed to be, but it damn sure it didn't end like it was supposed to be. And it makes you think, if this guy gets hurt again, I mean, I know this is supposed to be his last year, but I don't know.
Well, just to make you feel better, that was a planned spot. I did some research after I saw it, so the spot was planned. It was just the right Daniel off some time. He's absolutely fine. As far as the match goes, I see why it got so much hype. It was exactly what we thought it was going to be. Hard hit match with two of the best wrestlers on the planet. Let's just hands down.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not only that, but the technicality. Their match was like a good R&B song. It was slow, but it was telling you something the whole time they was getting into it. To that third stanza, then when all bets is off, like it was a great match. And we're going to talk about another match that I thought kind of rivaled the way it ended. But shout out to Will Ospreay for giving Danielson all he got, hitting him with the hidden blade, and then making it seem like that is a great move. And then Bryan Danielson is just, the way he moves in the ring after all these injuries and everything, he's still out there giving the best matches, not being the biggest person in a wrestling ring. When he is done wrestling, I hope he sees this. He needs his flowers now. He has made an impact in this business, and he got my vote as one of the best wrestlers of all time.
He's on my Mount Rushmore, and what's crazy, it's like he's had 3 Hall of Fame careers. He had a stellar run as American Dragon and Ring of Honor, and then comes on to WWE and NXT. They take his name away. He's on the trash NXT that ended up being what was the little stable.
Oh, you're talking about
Nexus. The Nexus got fired, if you remember, because he choked somebody out. Got legit got fired. Went back on the independent scenes. Got rehired. Had a Hall of Fame career. Had the Hell No run. The Yes movement. Had to retire. Retired for a couple of years. Came back. Had a second Hall of Fame career with some of the best work. He went from the most loved to the most hated with the Planet Champion. The reason we had Kofi Mania was because of, Bryan Danielson or Daniel Bryan at the time, wanting to put him over, leaves, goes to AEW, and has had, you know what? I'm confident saying, over the last 2 years has had the most impressive run of matches I've seen of any pro wrestler in history. And I'm confident with saying that. So, Jesus, what a jewel to the sport, fantastic pro wrestler. And I think the right person won. Like Daniel Bryan, he doesn't need to win another match ever again. And he's still going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer in any, Ring of Honor, AEW, WWE, first ballot Hall of Famer. Phenomenal match.
Hang on, y'all. 1 second.
What's up there over in X? I see you. Leave a comment if you want. I keep saying X, Twitter,
sorry about that.
Whatever it is.
I had to grab something before it fell off. My bad.
No, we're good.
Speaking of Will Ospreay, if we're gonna push him to Swerve, or if they're gonna not use him right now, my plan is don't put him in front of the corporation for AEW, quote unquote, because they struck their fiery head. Jack Perry came back with a vengeance. I don't want Will Ospreay to get caught up in that storm. I have no idea where that story arc is gonna go. I want Will Ospreay to stay on the championship arc. Um, God, don't let him know we're near Jericho
Not the
at all.
vortex of Jericho. He's pining for to get his hands on Osprey, and I don't think Jericho really understands how much people want him to go home. Like these last 4 or 5 gimmicks from the learning tree Chris Jericho, the what was before the learning tree, it was the Painmaker. I'm missing a couple of the Ocho, the Les Sex Gods. All of these AEW versions has actually lowered his stock. Like when he left WWE as the List Jericho, I was like, oh, what a loss for WWE. And much like Adam Copeland, WWE knows the right time to cut bait. Because let me tell you, and I'm a Jericho fan. Like I've been ECW, Chris Jericho, Lionheart, New Japan, Chris Jericho, WCW, Chris Jericho. Some of his work he did with Dean Malenko and the Cruiserweight Championship. It's iconic. Of course, the Y2K. And it's not just because I'm a WWE shill. This AEW Jericho, with him having complete creative freedom, I don't think he realizes he's not as creative as he thinks he is. Like, clearly Vince had, the man who shall not be named, had a lot to do with why we loved Chris Jericho. Because him without anybody holding him back, and obviously Tony's just like, do what you want. He's put a lot of hot trash out. A lot.
Yeah, and he, like I said, when he get in that ring, he don't really sell it no more.
He looks bad. I wish I still had the clip with him and Big Show on that cruise. And boy, did it look like somebody had left the gates of the retirement community open, and they had just remember we used to wrestle in the 1900s, and just came out there. It was not good. It was not good. I feel bad for Hook. I don't know where this storyline is going. I'm tired of FDW Championship. I'm tired of the Jericho Society, the Jericho Vortex, all these little stables. I don't know if he's trying to be tongue-in-cheek where he's saying everybody that works with him comes out better, but I can't think of one in AEW that has come out better after working with him besides maybe MJF, and I think he was going to be successful regardless.
I'm gonna say Sammy Guevara, but Sammy's
Isn't he suspended right now?
Up and down, huh?
Isn't he suspended right now for like hitting Jeff Hardy with an extra move after concussion?
Yeah, and then like I said, I don't know if Jeff and them are coming back because the rumor mill around them is they're gone. Matt showed up in TNA.
Yeah, I don't know if he has extra time that he missed time for why he was like arrested and stuff. So they may, but without Matt, I wouldn't trust Jeff to a full-time match by himself. He's a little shaky. So I can see maybe them holding him out to the end of the year. Matt kind of does TNA, and I guarantee by WrestleMania next year, we're going to hear, maybe it could be.
We might get that as soon as day one.
Hey, maybe so, but yeah, I think both the Hardys are out the door. But I mean, WWE, AEW has a stockpile of wrestlers that I think will be coming back to the E. Miro being one of them. We saw Andrade. I think Malachi Black, as soon as he gets an opportunity, he will be back. But I mean, they've got a stock roster, so it's okay. And there's a lot of people, we're gonna see some back and forth, between the E and AEW before it's all said and done. But I that's exciting for me. I remember those days of turning on Monday Night Raw, and you're like, oh, there's Rick Rude, and then you turn to Nitro, and you're like, oh, there's Rick Rude. That's weird. Yeah. He just shaved his mustache, but he's here. So I miss those times, and I don't know if you saw, but it got passed federal that no compete clauses have now been banned. So, I mean,
Right.
that really opens the door when you think about it, because now essentially a wrestler could just quit and show up to the next brand the next day. That's going to put a lot of power in these pro wrestlers, and we're probably going to see a lot longer term contracts moving forward, to make sure that you get people in their prime. So it's about to be an interesting time in pro wrestling, business wise, as well as just, storyline wise.
Right.
But speaking of your favorite promoter,
I won't go that far.
well, they didn't have the clip on AEW, so I couldn't get it licensed to put this clip. But they've already started making mimes with, they've given Jack Perry a lightsaber, like he's stabbing him in the gut. He said, and I quote, "I will never put myself as a character. It's all about the wrestling." And God damn it, if 90 days later he's in arguably the biggest storyline, where they go, what do you think of this, man? Number one, all the wrestling that he's watching, he hasn't learned how to take a bump.
It almost reminds you of a main event match. Like these just wrestlers who are trying to get their shot and they just trying to be on TV. Remember how when in WCW when Bischoff would take bumps and you're like, if he got hit with that for real, he'd have been dead. That's what happened.
Yeah.
Made the man split his pants. The spot was terrible.
Terrible. And I'm like, if you're gonna, one thing I will give about the man who will not be named, he was not gonna ask you to do anything that he wouldn't do. Vince at like 100 and oh shit, I did it again. Three, he's like Beetlejuice. I say it 3 times in one episode. He might appear on your shoulder. Oh yeah. But
No, he subscribed to the channel.
like, who's making a comment? Who's Lince McMahon? Like, who is this person that keeps making comments? It's weird. Take off your hoodie, yeah.
Oh God.
But I remember he had that little storyline with Shane and Kevin Owens, if you remember that storyline they had. And he had Kevin Owens like headbutt the hell out of him and like splat, like he took some punch. TK was like, punch me lightly in the stomach and I'm going to act like I got shot by a 12 gauge? What in the blue? And it was a late reaction, like he was on the ground.
He hit the ground first and then he responded. I was like, what?
I said, that's not how the body works.
Listen, it's like you hit him with a God punch. You like on 2K24, you can hit it and it's like, you didn't touch me. That's all that happened. I'm like, oh my God, Todaka, this was your opportunity. You ruined it. First of all, you knew he was taking a bump when he came out with them shoes on.
Yeah, absolutely. I said, does he have kids on? What's going on here?
Listen, he had on the referee 1, 2, 3s, but I'm like, golly, this would be bad.
So where are we going with this Jack Perry story? He went from suspended to seemingly that he's joined the elite. I'm assuming this is going to be a EVP takeover. I'm like, that's not how business works. You can't just beat up the boss and be like, I'm the CEO now. But for storyline purpose, I can see them taking over. Where do you think this leads for the next few months of horrible storytelling?
So I think this is a ploy to try to get people to cheer for Tony Khan, which probably ain't gonna happen. Because you notice that once the cameras are going off, even Tony Khan's father came out to the thing. And well wishes to Kenny Omega. I know he's dealing with that illness, and hope he can get back to wrestling soon. If not, I'll just hope that he takes care of himself and his health just continues to get better. But with that being no timetable of him coming back, and he is a big part of the elite, and now them having these heel moves. Jack Perry, they've been calling him the scapegoat. He's already being booed. This is just them trying to put a group together that's gonna get some heat. I would have never used Tony Khan as the first thing to get me some heat, because there were people are gonna cheer that. Of course, the audience in Jacksonville didn't, but I bet there were people across the globe like, yes. I mean, oh no, because it was
I was
Tony
I was
Khan.
laughing. I was laughing my ass off. I said, "This is ridiculous. This is like a punch in the stomach." To have your father come out as a grown man for taking a punch in the stomach, that doesn't make you look like the hero. It makes you look like the spoiled rich kid who's never chipped a nail before. It doesn't. It does. I don't know. Maybe this is going to lead to a heel turn for Tony Khan, but not a fan. Not a fan of what they did there. But it was hilarious, hilarious
Oh yeah.
bump that he took. I was like, this man got hit with an electric slide.
So let's talk about this. When they came out there to pick him up, that spot was for them to do a V trigger.
Right.
However, because everyone was already saying they were going to do it, they called an audible. So they didn't do it because they were going to V trigger him.
It would have
But
made
they
sense.
did because everybody called. That's why they did their one move. But I'm like, man, you can't lawn dart Tony Khan. There's no way he's gonna take the bump. Then come back next week talk about and I got an announcement. You know that's his favorite thing. I got a big announcement coming up.
Big announcement. We have a pay-per-view at the end of the month. Like, that's not a big announcement. That's just how business is done. And it's going to be funny because he's going to obviously be at the draft like in a week for the Jaguars. Is he going to continue this storyline when they come with a net brace or the wheelchair? Or is he just, I don't know. It's a hot mess. Tony, the pro wrestling in AEW is phenomenal. As far as the storyline, hire somebody. That's not you. You can
Right.
all you have to do. This is going to be advice from the Two Horsemen podcast to you. We're not billionaires, but we have $1 billion ideas. You tell them the match you want to see, and you let somebody else figure out how to get there.
I would do it.
There's
Either
plenty.
that or if you want somebody to take that bump, they already booked you should have put Jericho in that spot. You should have been the ring.
We want to see Jericho take a bump. We want him a career versus hair plugs match or something. But yeah, you and Jericho go on your cruise together and just collect your residuals and leave the company to the people that really know how to book it. Because when you try to do storylines, and I think it's because you let the wrestlers have so much control, you see what happens when you don't have people that really, really have a mind in business. And the fact that you get someone like William Regal and put him on TV as a star, or Jake the Snake and use him as an on-screen manager. No, these guys should be behind the scenes, making the storylines, making sure things make sense. Like, you have a wealth of people from Arn Anderson to Jake the Snake that have true minds for the business. They should be booking the thing. You just tell them who you want to see, who's your dream match, and let them figure out the story, how to get there. And I think the company would be that much better. Or I'm sure we'll take $2 million a year piece. We're not we're not gonna
I'm not greedy by no means.
we're not greedy by no means. And access to the private jet and Jaguar tickets and a condo, not in Jacksonville though, maybe a condo in Miami. That's all. Shout out to Jacksonville, but nobody really wants to.
Duval County.
It's for the Duval, that's a whole nother country. We're not even gonna talk about respect to it, but that's a whole nother country. But speaking of respect, we called it. We said it was
Whoop
going to
that
happen.
trick.
It
Whoop
happened.
that trick.
But between Moose, Swerve, and Trick, we got 3 Black World Champions right now, and a Puerto Rican, as my grandfather would say. So shout out to Trick, man. Great match. You know what? Dave Meltzer, you's a sucker, man. Because I don't know if you saw the quote, but he was like, Trick's not really that good. It's only because he's been in the ring with something. Everybody doesn't have to be Will Ospreay. Bret Hart could out wrestle Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold, The Rock at the same time with a blindfold on, and he didn't sell nearly as many tickets as any of those guys, or John Cena, or Roman Reigns for that matter. Just because someone knows a wrist lock does not mean that they're not. Trick Williams is a certified superstar. And so I didn't like that when he was like, he's not that good right before his big moment. So I just wanted to give a huge, massive, F you to Dave Meltzer for that.
So the thing about it is, it's been a while. Other than some of these guys that coming up, they're learning these moves. Trick is one of those wrestlers that's new to the business. Bianca wasn't the best when she got in the ring. They had to learn. Jay Cargill wasn't the best, but these are people that have taken their time and learned their craft. He may not be the best, but he put on a hell of a match against the Dragon, and I mean, he put on a hell of a match. And so, it's always going to be someone who don't like the product that's being put out. Again, Shawn Michaels is just sitting over there laughing as he goes to the bank because he's writing great shows. This was a great match. They kind of wonky at the end, but we all knew that Dragunov was going to the main roster. The draft had his name written all over it. They kind of really made it no secret as to who's moving up. And
Oh
so you
no.
put the belt on someone that the people adore in NXT, and now with that happening, you can pretty much put him against anybody. He'll turn Barry Corbin, the Baron don't go up. Oh,
Yeah.
what's the North American champion's name?
Oh, my man, Oba Finlay.
Yeah, you can
So,
you can put him against him. You don't have to put him in this match against Ivor. I get it. I don't buy it. But this was great. This is great for Trick. Shout out to him. Carmelo gave him everything he could, showed him the ropes. I hope his time on the main roster goes well. We have a habit on these main roster shows where great talent can get lost in the sauce, i.e., Adam Cole, baby, who did not get a fair shot. But that's my cross to bear because I think he's a phenomenal wrestler as well. Glad he's back on the men. But man, Trick, him and Dragunov, they told the story. All the people came behind. They did the behind the scene things. Damian Priest made a cameo. Like it was good stuff. I actually enjoyed the episode of NXT and can't wait till next Tuesday to see what happens next.
let me tell you, it's not simply because Shawn Michaels is my favorite wrestler of all time. That's no big secret. That man, Trick, has been wrestling less than 2 years. When we're talking about the really great wrestlers, the Daniel Bryans, the Will Smith, they've been doing this stuff in some cases 15, 20 years, have been wrestling fans their whole life. Trick Williams played in the NFL. He played for the Eagles. He was just a phenomenal athlete. That football, didn't really go his way and was completely new. And in 2 years, probably less than 200 matches, he's become a certified superstar, and he'll probably do another year in NXT to be the face of the product. And when he's ready to go to the main roster, he's going to shoot. I feel he's going to shoot to the moon. And as great as Triple H has been as a booker, as great as the Black and Gold was, we've seen a lot of those Black and Gold stars kind of flounder on the main roster. I think Shayna Baszler should be in a bigger place than she is. I think Johnny Gargano and Ciampa should be in a bigger place than they are. I think Shinsuke should have been a bigger place. Bobby Roode was a missed opportunity, and now we'll never get to see him in the ring again. Drew McIntyre is phenomenal now, but he was getting wasted before he kind of took this recent heel turn. A lot of that has to do, of course, with the man who will not be named. Didn't say it this time. He didn't really see what Tripp saw in a lot of those guys, so it was a lot of time wasted. But even with some of the recent call ups, the Candice LeRae's, the Braun Breakers, which I don't understand why they called them up now when the draft was right around the corner. It's kind of been like, they haven't done as much with them as they can. I feel after the draft, we'll really get an idea of what his plans are for these guys. But when you take all that into consideration, see how he went from a sidekick. Like when they introduced him with Carmelo, I laughed. I was like, who is this guy supposed to be? Is he like the guy from the time that holds Morris Day Mira? That's, That's who I saw. And now, he's must see TV. So shout out to HBK, NXT, all of the staff over there, and Trick. He deserves it, and I think he's a star. And that's why it pissed me off that Meltzer would say he's not that great. And this guy's been doing it 2 years and already main eventing shows. There's some of the guys in the independent that are trying to sell out a local high school, and they can wrestle and do all these moves, and they're breaking their neck. Trick's a star, man. And I'm sure a lot of those people that are great wrestlers would give their left testicle to be a star at a level of Trick and have that charisma that he has. So,
Yep. Anybody that got Booker T singing their entrance,
oh yeah, man,
that's it. I like it.
that Trick, I like it. Yeah. Oh nah, man.
That's Trick. I like this dude is cringy, dude.
He's so cringy, but
I love
he's my favorite by far announcer. Because he's so bad, it's good, and I love it. I love it. I would. He says he wouldn't want to do, but I would love for him to get another shot at the main roster with that freedom. But I think because he kind of gets to create his own thing with the NXT, he's perfect at it. He's the voice of NXT for sure.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, and shout out to Dragunov. I'm sure that's our next topic on the draft. I think it's been pretty clear who's getting the call up at AEW. I expect Dragunov, as you said. Who else do you AEW? Who else do you think is coming up from NXT?
Dijak, of course, Braun Breaker, and I think Baron. I know they're on the fence with Roxanne Perez. Carmelo Hayes is definitely coming up. But while we're talking about the draft, let's talk about Dragunov and how smart Triple H is. We've been preaching since we've had this podcast. I'm like, leave Imperium alone. And they finally pulled the trigger on breaking up Imperium. And with Dragunov coming up, you just made a better Imperium if you pull the trigger. Either that or you get them leaving Gunther in order to start their own thing with Dragunov, because again, they got ties from NXT UK. Kind of writes itself, and it's perfect. Carmelo Hayes, he'll probably go to SmackDown. I don't see him really being needed on Raw. Roxanne Perez can go to Raw because we'll talk about Becky Lynch winning the belt again and why that made the most sense from a business standpoint. But to us fans, it's like, let's see who else. You already pretty much got Braun Breaker and Baron Corbin in the tag team division, who could go up. That'll be a great match between Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. That kind of writes itself. Nothing really for the Street Profits to do, but stay in their group with B Fab. Shout out to B Fab. Then her growth, she don't get a lot of props. I'm proud of her. And yeah, man, this draft is going to be interesting. I will say, the way they broke up Imperium, you could tell that the cracks are forming in the Judgment Day, and I wouldn't be surprised if tomorrow on SmackDown, Damian Priest is going to SmackDown. I don't see them taking Cody and the Universal title from Raw right now with their Netflix deal coming. I see Cody staying put, but you can move Damian over there and make him work that belt as hard as he can. So, let's see.
No, I agree with you as far as the NXT. And usually, I think the biggest caveat or the most interesting this year is that NXT is actually going to be in the draft. So there's going to be some main roster people that are going to get an opportunity to really go back and hone their craft, or just really get an opportunity to shine, because there's just not enough room for everybody. Who do you think from the main roster would benefit most going to NXT?
They kind of got him down there anyway, but Natalia's already gone.
Yeah, I
The
see
new
her.
Ivar, the Final Testament, looks like they're going to be going. Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell, it would probably do better to go back down to the women's division. As far as on the men's side, uh, shout out to Cameron Grimes. I know he just got released, but he probably would have did well with going back to NXT. Wherever he lands at, they got a great superstar. I really love what they were doing with his To the Moon gimmick and with the money thing. And he can really go in the ring. So I hope he gets somewhere. They also had let Von Wagner go, and they were really trying to push him. He was
Yeah,
like
and
the
they
prototypical wrestler.
they quietly let him go too. Like he was literally on NXT in a
Hmm.
storyline, and then he was just gone. It was also weird that like all of the Asian wrestlers got let go at the same time, like Indashir and Zia Lee, and like I don't know if they had a protest or something. That was really weird.
Veer Mahan, all of them got released. And Sankey too, if I'm not mistaken. Jinder
Yeah,
Mahal,
the
like,
entire not Imperium, Indashir got released.
yep, whole thing
That's a
going. But
bit,
one of the main people that I hope goes down to NXT, because I believe him in the North American title picture would be wonderful. Is golly, I almost called the boy's name. I can't remember. JD McDonough was, especially once
JD.
they break up Judgment Day. McDonough, he really did. He had to have a name change and all that. Didn't really get his run in NXT like he should have. But if you've ever seen any of his old matches, McDonough can go in the ring.
Yeah, I was a
I mean,
big
he can
fan of him
go.
over there on NXT UK. That whole NXT UK roster, Gunther, Walter back then, Dragunov,
Pete
they're
Dunne.
over Pete Dunne, like Tyler Bates. I loved NXT UK. They had some of the best wrestlers on the planet at the time. And so, yeah, I agree with you with the main roster people that'll probably get. I think Ciampa's going to end up back in NXT. He never really wanted to leave, and if you notice, he kind of had a little issue with Johnny Gargano at the
Hmm.
end of their loss on Raw. So I could see Ciampa coming back on NXT, getting his Goldie back. It would be a great challenger for Trick, and really just line up some legit challengers that can push Trick in the ring. You know, I
Hmm.
could see Ciampa being that guy, give Trick a lengthy reign, but have some real competitors and really make that belt a prize. And I know you mentioned it earlier that they're really trying to make it into a third brand, like they were doing before, and having some people
Hmm.
like Ciampa go back and challenge for that NXT title against Trick. I think that makes for good TV for everyone. And
Yep. And
I just
and you bring up a valid point with this Netflix deal coming through. NXT has to be forward, but it has to be strong. I don't foresee them continuing doing draft stuff once this happens, because you're separated by, SmackDown. I think it's coming to USA if I'm not mistaken,
yeah.
and then you'll still have NXT, which will possibly just stay on USA as well, and
NXT
then
is
Raw
going
on
to
Netflix.
UPN, whatever CW. So
Oh, the CW. Okay.
yeah, NXT is
So
going to
you got to
UPN.
keep it strong. I don't foresee them moving people around in the draft unless Shawn Michaels and them make NXT uh, comparable to AEW in ways where they hold their own in the fight. Not like when it first started.
Right.
That was unfair. It was the infancy years of AEW, but now that it's got their sea legs together, you separate NXT and it does well, then yeah, going back and forth. But I think this
Yeah.
next year will be a great year for wrestling if inflation don't cause everybody to sit home. But we'll
I
talk
mean,
about that on politics as usual.
Netflix, damn near $30 a month at this point. All them people that was using my account. I'm sorry, I had to let you go because you didn't pay no dough. Um, So, what do you think was the best show of the week? We had starting with last Friday's SmackDown, headed on into Dynasty, Raw, SmackDown. Of course, it's hard to compare a premium live event to network show, but who do you think had the best show this week?
Dynasty hands down. WWE is always gonna put on stellar matches, but their story arcs isn't as high. They're getting ready for Fastlane. Dynasty, you got Will Ospreay, Daniel Bryan, Samoa Joe, Swerve Strickland, even Willow Nightingale winning the belt and having Monet tees and all this stuff. We're ready for her to wrestle, by the way, AEW.
Yo,
Enough is a
how
damn enough.
long has she
Put her
been
in the
on the
match.
roster? 2 months at this point with no,
Yeah,
she wasn't even cleared. Like, why are you going to debut? I understand Boston, is great, but damn it, why are you going to debut someone and have them come out? It's not like I almost called it Sasha Banks. I love Mercedes Monet, but she's never been a great promo to me. So her bread and butter was she was a beast in the ring. She was top 5 wrestlers, male or female, when she was in that ring. If she can't go in the ring, her coming out doing that dance and saying CEO every week gets super old, super
and it's
quick.
stale.
It's super
It's better
stale.
than the Yeet movement, though. I'm sick of that. I hate when Pat McAfee get on the table and dance. Nothing you can do can make me like it. I'm sick of it. I want it to go away.
I'm just hoping this new face bloodline that we're gonna get with Jimmy and Jay and Roman, we could get rid of the Yeet movement because it's just borderline offensive. Like every time I see it, I just feel like he's about to start tap dancing. I can't do that in 24. Is you is or is it's it's
Glad to be
it's
in
a
the ring, sir.
it's a very beans and cornbread. It's just
But
you
no,
don't have to do this, Jay.
Dynasty. It was the best show of the week. Again, shout out to Swerve, Brian Danielson, Will Ospreay, Adam Cole. You're healthy. I can't wait to see what storyline they put you in. And even a match that really didn't get a lot of praise, but I thought was a strong, hard hitting match with Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly. Their match was
Yes.
not bad.
No, it was actually really good. Like bell for bell, it was definitely the best show of the week. I concur with you 100%. Best show of the week. And it wasn't too long. I've ordered a couple of AEW pay-per-views and they were just like 16 matches when you look at now I didn't look at all the pre-matches. I'll be honest with that because it's still too many matches. You don't have to get everybody on the card, but from the main card, I have no complaints with in-ring product. And it actually, as I mentioned, it was the first time in a long time. I did have an issue with the Eddie Kingston, Adam Copeland, Briscoe versus the House of Black, and like Edge. I'm sorry, Adam Copeland taking the pin. Um, you were like beating Finn Balor at WrestleMania, throwing like I hate to see someone so legendary come what like the Cope Challenge, man. Like, why are you essentially competing for the TV title? And you
Just give
are
them
who
something
you
to
are.
do.
To give
Just
them
to say you
something to
got a
do.
you got a legend of getting our talent over. I mean, I guess it's a great learning tool for those coming up. But you're right. It's like at your age, you ain't got to do these no more. Even the storyline with you and Christian, it ran its course. Um, I would dare say, and I know you probably gonna roll your eyes, but put Adam Copeland in the match with Wardlow. I pay money to see that. Give
Uh,
Wardlow something to do. You want to feed a legend to somebody. Wardlow needs love.
I mean, I don't know if Wardlow can be recouped by AEW at this point. They've dropped that ball so many damn times at this point. The start and stops. They really, for me, when he had that rivalry with Samoa Joe, that did him no favors at all. Like, I don't mind anyone losing to Samoa Joe because legit, he seems like he could beat anybody in pro wrestling at any given time. But you don't feed your youth to a 40 to a man that has maybe 2 years left in the ring, 3 years left in the ring, versus a guy who has another 20 years left in the ring that clearly the competitor would be drooling over. Now, I don't know as much with Triple H being in charge, but in the past, he would have been a hot shot to the moon. Uh, you know, he's giving me Ryback vibes. Like, remember how like Ryback was like and I hate to
Cursed.
say it. I hate to say it.
Cursing.
Even the gear is a little Rybackish, but Ryback feed me more. He was a Paul Heyman guy. Like the whole world was his oyster, and
Feed
they
me
did
more, baby.
feed me more. And now he's just a joke. He's just a bitter shell, or Twitter talking, and nobody cares about him. I feel he's getting the Ryback treatment, and I don't know who he did wrong to get this, but I don't know. It seems personal with Wardlow. I say Ryback, so I'm smudging the air for good energy for Wardlow because I don't want that for that young man. So smudging the air for you, Wardlow.
Expelliarmus.
Expelliarmus. But yeah, it's Dynasty was great. Once again, what they're doing with Jericho, not a fan. Could have done without that. He looks bad in the ring. The hair plugs, like
He's fluffy.
He's fluffy. He had lost all that weight and like he had crazy abs and stuff. He said he got sick. Well, I guess he's feeling better because he just looks. He looks like that dude from what was that show? Brett Michaels. He looks like a fat Brett Michaels or something.
Oh,
like remember
godly.
Love.
Not was it the rocker or the wrestler?
No, not. I know who you're talking about. He was in Iron Man 2. No, I'm talking about that rock side. It used to be a show that came on like with Flavor of Love, and it was the
Rock of
dude from
Love.
Rock of Love, with the dude from Poison, and his like hair was stapled to the bandana. Like if you yank that bandana off, it would have been like, I'm gonna get you, sucker, just a bow and one head.
Was it Brett something? Brett.
I think it was Brett Michaels or
Brett Michaels or Brett Myers or something like that.
Let us know in the audience if you know who we're talking about. But yeah, Jericho, I'm ready for him to go. I'm ready for him to go home. Like usually some people are like, man, I would love to see them go back to the E. I don't even want to see him go back to the E. I just want to see him to go home, enjoy his $5 million or whatever he got from AEW, and just go home. Like you're putting yourself in positions that someone of your age shouldn't be in, like working with these young. You should almost be like the Undertaker, come back for a meaningful feud and go away. Just go away. There's so many young, good talent that could use that TV time.
Yeah, I agree.
But the final element, a lot of people were pissed about this. I think I know where they're going for this, but she went from going on vacation to she's the world champ. There's a couple of things I have a problem with. I want you to go ahead and some things that I feel are okay, but please, what do you think?
Rhea getting hurt sucked. We talked about it last week too. Rhea getting hurt kind of put it in a tailspin. The mommy arc was over with everybody. So who do you put the belt on? We put it on Nia before. It's dry. There was nobody in that over the top rope ladder match other than Shayna Baszler not getting the fair shot. But that's just my personal opinion. I enjoy Shayna Baszler. If she's watching, I think she's a wonderful women's wrestler. You had to put it on Becky because the draft is coming and she hasn't signed her contract yet. It's a bargaining chip. Keep her going. So, they did what was best for business, quote unquote. And now you put in the storyline. I don't want to see her and Nia again. I just don't. But if you see that Jade is strong and you're not gonna keep that group, or you move that group to Monday Night Raw where Becky is the champion. Now Jade has something in her sights that you could believe that she could beat Becky for the belt. But I'm just wishful thinking.
See, I didn't even think about Jade getting a nice little squash match on Becky and becoming the world champ. Totally here for it. I think I'm feeling that Becky's going to do the job for Liv Morgan. because Liv winning the belt, I think when Liv said, I'm going on my revenge, so you already saw her come to Dominic and say, I'm your mommy now. So I think we're going to see a whole new Judgment Day. I think they're going to turn on Damian Priest. And I think the new mommy is going to be Liv. We all remember one of my favorite moments, God rest his dead, but Dom's real daddy, when Chyna caught Eddie Guerrero cheating on her. And he looks at her and he says, 2 mamacitas are better than 1 mamacita. I need that. When Rhea comes back from her injury, she comes to the Judgment Day locker room to get this chaos back together. And I need to see him and Liv. Just a little slime ball. What's going to turn mommy even more heel to legitimately be heartbroken by Dirty Dom that everybody hates? It's going to make his heel heat, Liv's heel heat, go to another stratosphere. It's going to make Rhea the biggest face in women's pro wrestler history. And just I want to see her beat up Dom. Like, I want to see her have a handicap match with Liv as the champ and Dom, and just her go to town beating on both of them. I'm here for it. So if you give Mars the pin, if you give the bearded one the pin, that's where I'm going with that. But I do like the Jade taking off Becky after the draft. I'm here for that too.
Yeah, because you put the belt on Jade, and when Rhea comes back, now you give your money to WWE. They'll pay money to see that. Mommy versus the True Storm, man.
The storm is coming, and so am I. Oh yeah, but yeah, no, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I think the draft is going to shake up things, and then we're really going to see where we're going at. I do feel a face turn coming for Damian Priest. So, after he already told JD and Dom that he didn't need them, but I feel like we need somebody. There's got to be somebody that can legit, because I don't see Finn, JD, and Dom stomping out Damian and kicking him out like he did Edge. There has to be somebody new to come join that group, and I don't know who that new person could be.
Uncle Howdy? I mean,
oh God, I forgot all about that. We're gonna have to do a special episode. What is it? Because I'm a little fearful of I love Bray so much. I don't want his legacy being ruined, but I got a feeling the Wyatt sits is coming soon with Uncle Howdy, unless he comes out Uncle Howdy and just takes off the mask and says, "My name is Bo Rotunda, and my brother was," unless he does one of those like when Gold Dust took off the makeup and it was like, "I'm the natural." Unless he does that, but if he tries to do all the supernatural stuff and stick with it, it barely worked for Bray. And he was like one of the most creative minds ever. And there were, when I think Triple H said it best, those ideas are great until it comes to time to put on the in-ring product. And then where do we go here? Like, I love Bray, but I remember that match he had with Randy where there was like stuff projected on the screen on the mat. And I was like, who's that for? Or
the match that him and Seth had in Saudi Arabia.
Oh my God, where he just hit him with everything and then they called a DQ on a no DQ match. Yeah, that was weird.
So,
And the red light, remember he used to wrestle in the red light and you couldn't see what the hell was going on? Like, some of those ideas didn't really work when it came to the ring. That's the one thing about The Undertaker. He did a bunch of wonky stuff with the lights and supernatural, but when he went in the ring, he performed. You know what I mean? Better than
and it was
any big man in history.
so check this out. Also, at the time, characters like The Undertaker, they were shrouded in mystery because there was no social media, no extra people like, who is this real dude? The Undertaker was The Undertaker. When Kane came out, other than us who already knew that was Dr. Teeth, Kane was his brother for real. A lot of people just like, oh no, The Undertaker got a brother. Like, he don't, but what a wonderful story arc. Time and social media has changed a lot of that. The spooky vibe stuff really don't give you that. It's just that Bray could also get on the mic or shoot a promo, and you like, something was wrong with this dude, man.
Right.
Bo Dallas don't give you that.
Yeah, I mean, his voice eerily, I heard he in
Sound like Paul
preparation for
Bearer.
this. Yeah, he sounds like a happier Bray Wyatt. Like, but I'm used to the Bo Leave, the Miztourage. Like, they should have introduced him to the Wyatt family when they first had the Wyatt family with him being brother. So this shift, plus Bray looked, his look. Bray he had the husky size, he had that beard, the dreadlocks, the hair. He looked like, okay, this dude is a serial killer from the swamp. Then he put the spooky vibe in the mic. Like, Bo Dallas doesn't really scare me. Like, I don't care what kind of mask you put on. Physically, your look is like, all right, you're like a cruiserweight, maybe? Like, it's like little Guido coming on with a scary mask and be like, oh, I'm like, all right, man, I'm bigger than you. Like, I can still beat your ass. You're very
did
tiny.
we literally just talk WWE out of the Wyatt Family 6? Like, is that what just happened? Because we love wrestling, but
We
when
love
you
it.
hear us talk about it, we hope that it's great. But me and you are sitting here like, the Braves gone, and the casual friend will do the exact same, if not worse.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's incredibly. We had Bray on the main roster for what, 10 years, roughly.
Mhm.
We still didn't learn all we needed to know about the story he was trying to tell. We still never really learned. The closest we got to Sister Abigail was that canceled match that he had with Finn Balor, where they had him with a stocking on his head, pretending to be Sister Abigail. Thank God that didn't happen. We never really knew the true meaning of the theme. We never got to learn these things because the creative just kept getting so confusing underneath the man who now shall be named. And so that's why I was so excited with him coming back and having Vince, but really it ended up just being his opportunity to say thank you and goodbye. That's what it ended up being.
Right.
And why it hurts, sometimes we don't need the story finished. Sometimes, as Cody would say, you got to finish the story. Sometimes it's just best left as what if. If they were going to tell a story, tell it on a WWE game. I would love to have a scary supernatural whole, how they do the GM with finishing the story
Right.
with do it there, but I don't want to see it on the screen, and I ultimately feel it's going to end up being Alexa, it's going to be Bo Dallas, it's going to be Rowan, and it's going to be Braun Strowman. But isn't that a step back for Alexa and Braun just to end up being a sidekick to Bray's sidekick? I don't know. That's weird.
And it also is like, you guys have kind of transcended the role of the Wyatt family. Like Braun, when he was the black sheep, he was learning the craft still. He was getting into it. Braun Strowman's been a champion. He's had his fame. Like him going back. Like if you got, it's a sweet tribute. If it's a one off, like when they did DX for the very last time. If it's
Right.
a one off, I'm with it. But if there's something like, oh, we're gonna keep this stable around for a year, yeah, but bro, no one's gonna like it. But if you get them, they come back, they do it as a tribute. We all get to say goodbye. I think not only will that do us as fans some good to be a part of it, like I said, with the merch and stuff that they get a proceeds to JoJo and the children, and it also gives the wrestlers a chance to decompress and let go because again, it's only been a year.
Right. 6 months. It's been 6 months. He died in
Yeah.
like December or something like, or November.
Yeah.
So
And
not
so
even.
it's like, give us that, then a year anniversary to his death, that final match, give us that send off. Everybody will do it, man. That Raw after that premium live event, it'll be dry as hell because we'll be expending all the energy we had. Like that'll be an emotional release, and then everybody just be like, "Whew, give me a cigarette, I'm good."
Yeah.
Hey,
Let us mourn, but I don't want to see a long term.
No.
I'm all for factions. I've loved having Bloodline and Judgment Day. I love when they had like the Wyatt family versus the Shield, or the Wyatt family versus New Day. I grew up when you had, the Nation of Domination versus DOA versus, it was Los Barricos or whatever. It was like literally a gang war. So that was cool. But the supernatural element is so very hard. Even in the later years, the Undertaker had to start blending more of his real life into it, because just the whole supernatural, Kane became corporate Kane. In the day where kayfabe is barely hanging on, to try to pull something like that's a recycle. I just feel it's an opportunity for a lot of people to be offended. The juice isn't worth the squeeze necessarily. I don't want to see Bo Dallas now have a job, but just be rotund. Come back under your real name and say, I'm here for my brother. And then you can still have like a stable with Braun helping them. Like, yeah, we all love Bray. We'll be a stable, but don't try to do this mysterious stuff. It's what I'm hoping for. But
Right.
that's neither here nor there. We'll see in a few weeks. They've been doing the I got a feeling the debut is going to be
Another
pretty
QR
soon.
code.
Yeah, they've been doing QR codes all day, so we'll see in about 2 weeks, I think. But I'm praying that it's just a one-off and that we don't end up having an abortion of what Bray was trying to do, just to make a profit. And another FU, I gave an FU earlier to Dave Meltzer, but I wanted to give an FU to those people that were out there. JoJo Offerman, Bray's fiance, and I think CJ Perry and Liv were out there, and they put a video on like TikTok or something like that, and they're having fun. And people were like, Bray's only been dead for 6 months. How dare you? Like, dude, don't tell people to grieve, man. That's like super foul. So JoJo, mad love. Keep having fun. If that brings you some light, you deserve it, damn it. You got those 2 babies at home, and those people, those tribalists, weird wrestling fans that take it too far, still real to me. It's still real to us too, but we realize people have, real lives. So that was super whack.
Right.
So FU's to those out there hating on my girl JoJo. She deserves to have a little joy in her life.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Well, guys, that's an hour and 7 minutes. We've given you a little bit overtime because we love y'all, guys. We thank y'all for tuning in over there on X. I see you over there on Facebook. Not Facebook, YouTube. I see you over there on Twitter. I got to do more on Twitch. I see you guys on Twitch. I appreciate y'all. Check out the replay at midnight, like we always do. It's another episode of your favorite international podcast with the most handsome brothers on the internet, the two horsemen. You see it. I know you see it. I knew you want it, but it's taken, baby. You can't have it, but you can lease it for $9.99. But brother, any final words before we hit the road?
Shout out to you, my brother. Not to get too much in the weeds. I know you've been going through it this week. I'm just glad you're up and about doing your thing. Again, shout out to everybody that tuned in. We greatly appreciate it. We love wrestling, and we're just glad that we can all enjoy wrestling together. Whomever you like or whatever you like, remember, it's all in love. So that's the biggest thing, and keep tuning in. And of course, Christian Mingle, we keep it going.
Always. That got to be your new tail off, the biggest thing. Big Gerald with the biggest thing. I love that. That'd be our new segment. But yeah, he's absolutely right, man. Pro wrestling is for our enjoyment, and we're here to enjoy it together. We want y'all to tune in, keep tuning in. Thank you so much for the support. This has been a fantastic ride for us. Designing some new merch for you guys with our handsome mugs on it, coming very soon. So when that is ready, we're going to be rocking our 2 horseman gear, and you can get some too. The best way to support the channel and our network to allow us to keep doing what we're doing is to buy that merch. We're going to have new merch codes with Big Gerald's name on it and my name on it, so you can get some discounts, so you can get fly with us, your 2 fly guys, the heavyweight champions of the podcast game, the Pharaoh, Christian Mingle, and the Bearded One. We appreciate y'all for tuning in, but we got to end the show one way and one way only. And we're going to do it together this time.
All right.
3, 2, 1. Hulk Hogan.
Hogan.
I'm coming for you, nigga.
Booker T, come on the show.
Come on the show.
Shout us out on the show, man. Listen,
I'm begging you.
We only do it because we love you.
We love you. It's the best thing that's ever happened to pro wrestling history, and it's because of you. And until the day I die, we gonna end this show this way forever and always. For your boy Mars, for your boy Big Gerald, the bearded one, the Pharaoh Christian Mingle. We're out. Two Horseman Podcast. See y'all next Thursday.
Peace.
Deuces.